My wife walked into the kitchen glowing, hands on her belly, tears streaming down her face. "Jason, I have incredible news. We're pregnant. With twins." I dropped the coffee mug. It shattered on the tile. Not from joy, from shock. Because 3 days earlier, I'd been sitting in Dr. Morrison's office, staring at test results that said something very different. "Mr. Hayes," she said gently, "I'm sorry, but based on these results, you're sterile. You have been for at least 5 years. There's no possibility of natural conception." I'd been getting tested in secret for months. We'd been trying for 2 years with no success. I thought it was me. Turns out I was right, but not in the way I expected. So when my wife stood there, radiant, telling me about twins she was carrying, I did the math in my head. 2 + 2 wasn't equaling 4. I smiled, hugged her, said all the right things. "That's amazing, honey. I'm so happy." But inside, one thought screamed louder than all the others. If I can't have kids, whose are they? If you want to know what I did next and what I found in her phone that made everything make sense, hit subscribe, because this story gets darker before it gets clear. My name is Jason Hayes. I'm 38 years old, and I'm a senior systems analyst for a tech company in Austin, Texas. I work from home 3 days a week. I make good money. I drive a sensible car. I mow my own lawn. To anyone looking in, I'm living the dream. Nice house in a quiet suburb, beautiful wife, 2 dogs, the kind of life you see in mortgage commercials. My wife, Amanda, is 35. She works in marketing for a healthcare startup. Smart, driven, the kind of woman who has her calendar color-coded and her meal prep done on Sundays. We met 7 years ago at a friend's wedding, married after 2 years, bought the house after 3, and for the last 2 years we'd been trying to have a baby. Trying. That's the word people use when they don't want to say what's really happening. Failing. At first, it was fun, spontaneous, exciting. Then it became scheduled, clinical. Ovulation trackers, basal thermometers, apps that pinged me at work with messages like, "Hi, fertility window, tonight is optimal." Romance died somewhere between cycle day 14 and the 3rd negative pregnancy test. Amanda started getting obsessive. She'd cry when her period came. She'd avoid baby showers. She'd scroll through Instagram looking at pregnancy announcements like they were personal attacks. "Why is it so easy for everyone else?" she'd ask, voice breaking. I didn't have an answer. I just held her and said what every husband says. It'll happen. We just need to be patient. But after 2 years, patience wears thin, and doubt creeps in. 6 months ago, I started wondering if the problem was me. Amanda had been to her doctor. Everything checked out. Hormones normal, ovulation regular. That left one variable: me. I didn't tell Amanda. I didn't want to worry her, or worse, confirm her fear that I was the reason we couldn't have kids. So I made an appointment with a fertility specialist, Dr. Rebecca Morrison. Her office was in a medical building across town, far enough that I wouldn't run into anyone I knew. The first visit was basic: medical history, lifestyle questions, a physical exam. "We'll start with a semen analysis," Dr. Morrison said. "It's the simplest test, and it'll give us a baseline." I nodded, trying not to feel like a specimen. A week later, I was back in her office. She pulled up my results on her computer. Her face was neutral, professional. "Mr. Hayes, your sperm count is low, very low." "How low?" "Severe oligospermia, less than 5 million per milliliter. Normal is 15 million or higher." My stomach dropped. So what does that mean? "It means natural conception is highly unlikely. Not impossible, but the odds are very low." "Can it be fixed?" She hesitated. "There are treatments, hormone therapy, lifestyle changes, but I want to run more tests first. There may be an underlying cause." I left that appointment feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. I was the problem. Over the next 3 months, I went through every test imaginable: blood work, Ultrasounds, genetic screening. I changed my diet, quit drinking, started taking vitamins that smelled like a barn. Amanda noticed I was healthier, but she didn't ask why. She was too focused on her own tracking, her own hope. And I didn't tell her. I told myself I'd wait until I had answers, until I knew if it could be fixed, but the answers kept getting worse. The final test came back in early November. I was sitting in Dr. Morrison's office, same chair, same neutral walls, same sinking feeling. She pulled up the results. Her face was more serious this time. "Mr. Hayes, I'm going to be direct with you." "Okay." "Based on your hormone levels, testicular imaging, and genetic markers, you're functionally sterile." The word hung in the air like a verdict. "Sterile?" I repeated. "Yes, your sperm count is not just low, it's non-viable. The sperm present are immotile and malformed. Even with IVF, the chances of successful fertilization are near zero." How long has this been the case? She scrolled through my chart. "Based on your hormone levels, testicular imaging, and genetic markers, I'd estimate it at least 5 years, possibly longer." 5 years. We'd been married for 5 years. "Is there any chance—" "No," she said gently. "I'm sorry. Natural conception is not possible." I sat there, numb, trying to process what that meant. It meant 2 years of trying had been pointless. It meant every negative test wasn't bad luck, it was biology. It meant if Amanda ever got pregnant— I stopped that thought before it could finish. I drove home in a daze. Amanda was in the living room, laptop open, working on a presentation. "Hey," she said, barely looking up. "How was your day?" "Fine," I lied. "Yours?" "Busy. I've got a pitch tomorrow. I'll probably work late." "Okay." I went upstairs, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at the wall. I didn't tell her. I told myself I needed time to process, to figure out how to say it. But the truth was, I was scared. Scared of what it would mean for us. Scared of how she'd react. Scared that she'd leave me because I couldn't give her the one thing she wanted most. So I kept it to myself. And I waited. 3 days later, Amanda came home early. I was in the kitchen, making coffee, when I heard the front door open. "Jason?" Her voice was shaking. I turned. She was standing in the doorway, face flushed, eyes wet. "What's wrong?" She walked toward me, hands trembling, holding something small. "A pregnancy test. 2 pink lines." "I'm pregnant," she whispered. The world tilted. "What?" "I'm pregnant," she laughed, a sound caught between disbelief and joy. "I took 3 tests. They're all positive." I stared at the test in her hand. 2 pink lines. Positive. My brain tried to catch up, but the math wasn't working. Dr. Morrison's voice echoed in my head. Natural conception is not possible. "Jason?" Amanda's smile faltered. "Say something." I forced my face into something that looked like happiness. That's amazing." She threw her arms around me. "I can't believe it. After 2 years, I was starting to think it would never happen." I hugged her back, mechanical, numb. Over her shoulder, I stared at the pregnancy test on the counter. 2 pink lines. Impossible. I didn't sleep that night. Amanda was beside me, curled up, one hand resting on her stomach like she was already protecting something. I stared at the ceiling, running through every possibility. Maybe Dr. Morrison was wrong. Maybe the tests were flawed. Maybe I was the 1 in a million case where sterile didn't mean sterile. But I knew better. I'd seen the results. I'd heard the certainty in her voice. There was no maybe, which left only one explanation.
The baby wasn't mine. The next morning, Amanda made an appointment with her OB/GYN. "I want to make sure everything's okay," she said, glowing. "I can't believe this is real." "When's the appointment?" "Friday. Will you come with me?" "Of course." She kissed me, grabbed her bag, and headed to work. The second the door closed, I grabbed my phone and called Dr. Morrison's office. I need to see her, today. Dr. Morrison saw me during her lunch break. I sat in her office, hands shaking, and told her everything. "My wife is pregnant." She frowned. "Mr. Hayes, based on your results—" "I know," I interrupted. "That's why I'm here. Is there any possibility, any chance at all, that I could be the father?" She pulled up my file, scrolled through the results. Her face didn't change. "No," she said finally. "I'm sorry, but based on your condition, natural conception is not biologically possible. So, if she's pregnant, then the biological father is someone else." The words hit like a freight train. I sat back, trying to breathe. "What do I do?" Dr. Morrison's voice was gentle. "That's not a medical question, Mr. Hayes. That's a personal one." I didn't confront Amanda, not yet. I needed proof, real proof, because accusing your wife of cheating based on a fertility test is the kind of thing you can't take back. So I waited, and I watched. Amanda's OB appointment was on Friday. We sat in the waiting room, surrounded by pregnant women and pastel-colored pamphlets about prenatal vitamins. She was nervous, excited, squeezing my hand like I was her anchor. "What if something's wrong?" she whispered. "It won't be," I said. But I was thinking something else. What if something's right? What if this confirms everything? They called her name. We went into the exam room. The ultrasound tech was cheerful, chatty. "Let's see what we've got," she said, squirting gel on Amanda's stomach. The screen flickered to life. And there they were.
Two tiny shapes, two flickering heartbeats. "Twins," the tech said, smiling. "Congratulations." Amanda gasped. Tears streamed down her face. "Twins?" "Yep, looks like you're about 8 weeks along." 8 weeks. I did the math in my head. 8 weeks ago, I'd been traveling for work, gone for 5 days. Amanda had been home alone. I smiled. I held her hand. I said all the right things. But inside, I was screaming. Because 8 weeks ago, I wasn't just out of town. I was sterile. And now, she was pregnant with twins. That night, Amanda fell asleep early, exhausted from the appointment. I waited until her breathing was steady. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I grabbed her phone. She didn't have a passcode. She'd always said we had nothing to hide. Funny how that works. I opened her messages, scrolled past the usual, her mom, her friends, work chats. Then I saw a name I didn't recognize. Tyler. I opened the thread. The messages went back months. At first, they were innocent, work stuff, casual. Then they shifted. "I can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again? He's traveling this week. Come over." I scrolled faster, my heart pounding. Then I found it. A message from 2 months ago. "I'm late. I think I might be pregnant." Tyler's response. "Are you sure?" "I took a test. It's positive." "What are you going to do?" "I'll tell Jason it's his. He'll never know." I set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. My hands were shaking. My chest was tight. She'd planned this. She'd known the baby wasn't mine, and she was going to let me raise it, them, as my own. I didn't sleep. I sat in the living room staring at nothing, trying to figure out what to do. Part of me wanted to wake her up, to scream, to throw the phone at her and watch her try to explain. But another part, the part that had been conditioned by 2 years of trying, 2 years of her tears and hope, wanted to believe there was some explanation, some way this wasn't what it looked like. By morning, I'd made a decision.
I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I was going to let her think she'd won. And then I was going to take everything. Over the next 2 weeks, I played the excited husband. I went to every appointment. I bought baby books. I started looking at cribs online. Amanda glowed. She talked about names, nursery colors, double strollers. And every night, while she slept, I gathered evidence. I screenshotted every message. I downloaded her texts to a cloud account she didn't know about. I called a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, Patricia Chen, the same attorney who'd helped my friend through a brutal divorce. I need to protect myself, I told her. Tell me everything, she said. I did. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. This is a lot. Can you help me? Yes, but you need to be smart. Don't tip your hand. Let her think everything's fine. And then we hit her with everything at once. Infidelity, fraud, paternity. We make sure she doesn't get a dime.
The plan was simple. Wait until after the twins were born. Let her name me as the father on the birth certificates. Then request a paternity test. When it came back negative, I'd file for divorce, annulment, and fraud. She'd lose everything. The house, the savings, any claim to my income, and I'd walk away clean. It was cold, calculated, but after reading those messages, after seeing how easily she'd lied, I didn't feel guilty. I felt clear. 4 months into the pregnancy, Amanda started getting suspicious. "You've been distant," she said one night. "I'm just stressed about work," I lied. "Are you sure that's all?" "Yeah, why?" She studied my face. "I don't know, you just seem different." I kissed her forehead. "I'm fine, just a lot on my mind." She didn't push it, but I could tell she was watching me more closely. At 6 months, she threw a gender reveal party. Her friends came, her family, even Tyler. I shook his hand, smiled, played the proud father-to-be. He didn't know I knew. Amanda didn't know I knew. They thought they were so clever, but I was 3 steps ahead. The twins were born in late June. 2 boys, healthy, perfect. Amanda cried, her family cried, everyone celebrated. I held them, I smiled for the photos, and I signed the birth certificates. Father, Jason Hayes. Patricia had told me to do it. "It'll make the fraud case stronger," she'd said. So I did. I signed my name, knowing full well those babies weren't mine. And I waited. 2 weeks after they were born, I told Amanda I wanted to do a paternity test. "Just for peace of mind," I said. From medical records, family history." Her face went pale. "Why would we need that?" "It's standard," I lied. "My insurance covers it." "Jason, that's ridiculous." "Is it?" She stared at me. "You don't trust me." "I didn't say that." "You're implying it." I kept my voice calm. "Amanda, if there's nothing to hide, then there's no reason not to do it." She opened her mouth, closed it. "Fine," she said finally, "if it'll make you feel better." The results came back a week later. Probability of paternity, 0%. I stared at the paper for a long time. Then I called Patricia. "It's time." I didn't tell Amanda right away. I let her settle into the routine, late-night feedings, diaper changes, the exhausting blur of newborn twins. She was tired, vulnerable, perfect. One evening, after she'd finally gotten both boys to sleep, I sat down across from her. "We need to talk." She looked up, wary. "About what?" I slid the paternity test across the table. She stared at it. Her face went white. "Jason." "Don't," I said quietly. "Don't lie to me anymore." Her hands shook. "I can explain." "Can you?" I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots. "Explain this." I showed her the messages. Every single one. Her face crumpled. Jason, please." "How long?" I asked. "How long were you planning to let me raise another man's children?" She started crying. "I didn't mean for it to happen." "But it did, and you lied. You looked me in the eye every single day and lied." "I was scared." "Of what? The truth?" She sobbed. "I didn't want to lose you." "You already did." I filed for divorce the next day. Annulment based on fraud, infidelity, paternity fraud. Patricia made sure it was airtight. Amanda tried to fight it. Her lawyer argued that I'd signed the birth certificates, that I'd accepted paternity. Patricia countered with the messages, the timeline, the fertility records. The judge wasn't sympathetic. Mrs. Hayes knowingly deceived her husband about the paternity of the children. That constitutes fraud. Amanda got the twins. I got everything else. The house, the savings, my freedom. She moved in with Tyler. Last I heard, he's struggling to support 3 people on a teacher's salary. Funny how that works. I sold the house. Too many memories. Bought a condo downtown. Started over. I don't hate Amanda. I don't even think about her most days. But I learned something important. Trust isn't about believing someone. It's about knowing when to verify. If you've ever been lied to, if you've ever had someone try to trap you with a secret, if you've ever had to choose between your heart and your head, this one's for you. Comment verified if this hit home. Hit subscribe for more stories about the truth that hides in plain sight. Because sometimes the most dangerous lies are the ones wrapped in love.